Our next guest still has a hold on the stock despite the cut in profit forecast. Mark McKechnie, equity analyst at ThinkEquity, joining us from our San Francisco bureau. Mark, great to have you here with Matt and myself on Street Smart. So you have a hold rating on the stock. Why not just put a sell at this point? Stock's down more than 30% this year, down 14% today. Why buy it?
Yeah, well, I'm definitely not out recommending people step in and buy the stock here. I think you hit it on the head when your earlier comments that, hey, when the iPhone came out, you could probably look at the stock chart. That's about when Nokia's stock topped. So, you know, we don't really see, we're not optimistic about Nokia here at all. Our hold rating is really just, hey, the stock's been washed out. We had an $8 target. We just took it to a $7 target here today. But you know, I'm definitely not being constructive on the stock here.
Any hope from this Microsoft phone that they're transitioning to? I mean, Microsoft's market share right now is tiny. Is that going to get people to buy these phones?
Well, I'll tell you, it's better than the alternative. So Nokia's own Symbian 3, they had a pretty weak ecosystem. At least with Microsoft, you've got their Office franchise with their email franchise, and not to mention the Xbox 360. So it's all about ecosystems and smartphones. And Microsoft's is better than what Nokia brought to the table on their own. But it's still a far cry from the leaders, Apple and Android.
Do you, I mean, at some point come out with a sell here, or is your hold basically a sell rating?
Yeah, it's a neutral to negative rating, right? I said in my piece to my clients today that I thought it was equally likely that they run into balance sheet issues as they turn around their handset business on the back of Windows Phone 7.
It's amazing the downfall here because, when I started covering this industry in Europe in 2000, Nokia was pretty much at the top of the list, and Motorola was up there with it. But these two giants have just come crashing down. Does it stay that way? Does Apple just rule the telecom handset earth for the rest of time?
Looks like that from here. Now, we're talking about a two-horse race in smartphones. I mean, cell phones, PCs, face it, are cyclical, and the area of growth is smartphones and tablets. And I see the mobile industry kind of eating the PC industry from the bottom up. And so, Apple, the clear leader, but Android, a viable challenger. So, you mentioned Motorola. We're a bit more optimistic on Motorola than most. Trades at about the same valuation here as Nokia, but they're 2 or 3 years into the turnaround, and I think they bet on the right ecosystem in the form of Android.
Mark, I want to go back to one point. You've got a hold on the stock. I mean, you don't have a sell rating. I mean, I still don't get it. I mean, why not put a sell rating? Is there any reason to own Nokia at this point, or not really?
Right. So I'm not going to belabor the rating here, sell versus hold. They're both neutral to negative type ratings. We talked about valuation support at the $7 level. It's what 0.3 times enterprise value to sales. So it's probably just say, look, the cat's out of the bag and the stock's taking its hit. That's my stance here.
It's kind of exciting that you have a buy here on Motorola, because you do think that Android has a shot at taking some market share. It has shown in recent months that people are going out and buying these phones, right? So can it really challenge Apple, or is it going to always be the sort of also ran?
No, I think some parallels can be drawn between the early PC market and smartphones. I mean, there's some differences, of course, but where Apple dominated at first, had better products, and then you saw the Wintel machine come in and challenge them and actually give them a tough time. In this case, Apple's ecosystem is much more developed. I'm positive on Apple, but I'm also paying very close attention to Android, which is actually growing faster in terms of overall units than is the Apple iOS. So, that ecosystem moving very quickly. Motorola's on the right horse there. The trick is, can Motorola scale up and deliver formidable operating margins? And we're arguing that they can, and I think that's going to make or break the stock over the next 12 to 18 months.
Mark, speaking of stocks, you take a look at RIM. I mean, that stock's down about 26% this year, so similar to what we're seeing in Nokia in terms of year-to-date performance. You've got a hold rating on RIM. Any reason to own RIM at this point?
Yeah, I think RIM, I mean, the bull case would be, potentially, a potential takeout here or there. Or really what we're looking for to get more interested in RIM is for them to make a dent and build something compelling for consumers. As of yet, I mean, they were the early wireless leader. They put smartphones on the map. Fantastic history behind RIM, but really strong in email and messaging. They just haven't made the move to the richer media types, and really, to where the rubber hits the road, they're not participating in the smartphone growth with the consumers.
Is it harder, Mark, to put a new buy on Apple, because the others you're expecting to pick up from a downfall, whereas Apple has already gone so high here?
Well, I tell you what, now Apple I'm a fan of. I've got a buy rating, $450 target. I think the stock has been depressed. It's, if you look at it, it's 10, 11 times plus cash here. It's a pretty attractive stock, and I think there's plenty of runway to go growing on Apple. So no, I think the strong can get stronger. I've got my two favorite names in the handset space being Qualcomm and Apple.
Got it. Hey, Mark, thanks so much for joining us. Appreciate it. Mark McKechnie.